So today in the workshop, friends, we're going to go over the step-by-step process on how I make my custom molded Honda HSS chute deflector covers. This is basically a cover that goes over the front of the chute that has a opening at the bottom. And what it does is basically prevent blow-by or that scattered snow that comes out the chute. Usually when you're snow blowing powdery snow and things like that, it basically just captures all of it and kind of projects it into a tight stream coming out the chute and out the actual snowblower. This helps when you rotate it either left or right all the way, so at extreme angles backwards, like the Honda, you can back shoot, so you don't get that blow by in your face. So I came up with this, basically this apparatus or cover that goes over the front of the chute. It bolts on, and I'm going to go through the process of making a batch because I have some orders that I have to fulfill. So I decided to just go through the steps on camera and show you kind of what it takes to make these time-consuming covers. So I have very specific materials and I have a very specific process that I use to make this very high-quality cover that I sell on eBay. I will put the link down below if you're interested, but if you are up to the challenge and want to make your own, I'll give you some tips and tricks along the way in this video. So even though I make these specifically for the Honda HSS models, you can basically apply this same design to all snowblower chutes, okay? Basically, you know, contains and captures the discharge to the point where it, you know, projects it out in a nice tight stream. And it really does work really well. I like having it on my machine. Like I said, I've improved the design over the years. I've opened up the bottom just a little bit, like a whole inch all the way around, to improve the ability to, you know, stick your hand in there, which I don't recommend, only if the machine is off and you've cleared the machine and, you know, disengaged everything and pulled the spark plug and belts, okay? I have to say that. But anyways, the reason why you'd want this is just because you want to keep a nice, you know, you don't want buildup on the top of the machine. That's really what happens. You get buildup on yourself, the operator, and buildup all over your headlight and on the machine itself, the housing. To prevent all that buildup, okay, usually what it happens when there's a lot of powdery snow, okay? This doesn't happen so much when you have like really wet, slushy snow. It usually stays really together and intact and gets discharged out the chute as one like solid piece, right? It's the powdery snow and the lighter stuff that like just blows everywhere. This right here will drastically help you contain your stream of discharge and, you know, keep things, you know, exactly where you want them. It'll basically shoot a stream right where you want it on the pile or on the snowbank or whatever configuration you need to master. But anyways, I want to cover these, show you step by step how I make them. Like I said, you can, you know, take it for what it is, and then you can apply to other snowblowers. So let me go ahead and start chopping up this plastic sheet material and show you the process. All right, so here I have my template that I've made. I've perfected this over the years, my design, kind of the layout and the shape of this chute deflector, and I made an actual template, very precise template with holes, okay? Now, this is something you might want to do if you want to, you know, make a bunch of them. So I have this as my template, and then I went ahead and now traced the profile, and I dimpled the holes, okay? I dimpled basically, I put a little dimple with the awl where the hole locations are, and I'm going to go ahead on the drill press and drill these out, okay? I also scribed in with this same awl the profile of the template. Okay, so I just basically laid this out, put some weights on top, and then I went ahead and kind of like carefully scribed it. That way I can transfer the profile, and now I have an exact replica here on the plastic sheet. This is high quality HDPE material. This is not cheap plastic. This is gonna last in cold weather. I buy this material in bulk, so I get like 12 sheets and I cut it basically in two. These are 24 by 24 when they come, and then I cut them basically in half to produce one chute cover. Okay, I have a bunch of remnants on this. As you can see, I have a bunch of leftover material. I tend to save this stuff, but I've been accumulating a lot of it, so I'm just going to recycle it most likely. But that there is the process when it comes to layout and kind of how I do this. It's a very tedious process. It takes me like basically, you know, an 8-hour, 9-hour day to get these all done. I make like a batch of 12 or 24 at a time. So now it's time to go to the drill press and put the holes in. And then after that, I go to the bandsaw and then cut out this main profile kind of rough. And then back to the drill press with a sanding roll, which I will show you. It's a sanding drum attachment. And then I finish the edges. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start drilling those holes. Okay, so this is what it looks like after the drill press. I went ahead and did 8 13/64 holes, and then the ones at the bottom here for the base of the chute for the bolts are 3/8 diameter. The through holes that you would want to drill for these guys here for the bolts on your chute would be 1/4 inch. Okay, because these holes here are 200 thousandths basically. So this is what it looks like. If you were to do this for a kind of a different snowblower, you might not need like these tabs on either side here. You might want to just kind of do the main profile, but each different type of snowblower brand and model is going to be different depending on the design of the chute. But this is what works for the HSS models, and this is what I do. Okay, but like I said, you can apply this design universally to other snowblowers and make the same kind of chute deflector for those machines. So let's go ahead now and take it to the bandsaw and cut out the main profile, just rough, and then afterwards I'll finish it with the sanding drum back on the drill press. So here I have the semi-finished chute deflectors. As you can see, I got a whole stack of them. They still have a rough edge on them. So the next step is going to be using the sanding rolls or the sanding drum to put a nice finish along the edge and then to radius over the corners. That way they're not sharp. And this is what puts the finishing touch on the final thing. And then after that is done, then I go ahead and heat them up, and I use a handbrake to fold them over along the edge like a 3/4 of an inch to produce a flange. So I'm going to go ahead and sand these down, clean them up, make them look good, and then go ahead and finish them off. But this here is the sanding roll kit that I use. This is a Power Tech kit, 80 grit, 120 grit. I use the 80 grit. Either the 1.5 inch or 1.25 inch or the 2-inch works great. So that's what I use to make a nice finish edge on the chute. Okay, so now I have the very last step, which is to put the curvature with the heat gun and bend over the flange. But as you can see, I went ahead and cleaned up the edges, okay, with a deburring tool to make the edges nice and eased over, and got rid of all the sharps and all the burrs and whatever was remaining. So we got a nice clean chute deflector right now. And like I said, the last thing to do is to put the curvature and bend over the flange a little bit. As you can see here, I scribed a line all the way around a predetermined distance, okay, on both sides. That's going to be my guide, so when I go to bend over using this handbrake, I'm going to bend over little by little and use that as my guide, okay? I'm only going to bend it like, I don't know, like 15, 20 degrees, not a lot, okay? But this is going to have a curvature. Now, the material itself has a natural curvature, and I was working with that the whole time. So as you can see, it kind of bows a little bit. So this is going to be my outside, and the concave is going to be the inside. So convex is the outside, so it's going to basically be like this, okay? On your, you know, if you're behind the snowblower, this is what it's going to look like, the profile. But I got to bend that flange over so it makes mounting easier onto the chute. Okay, it's not just about slapping a piece of plastic on your chute and bolting it down, because the plastic wants to be, you have to form it, you have to put a curvature in it, so it fits the profile of your chute properly, okay? This is what people don't understand or maybe don't get about this product that I make. It's very time consuming. I've been in the workshop all day producing a whole set of these. Okay, I have 6 here, but I made 24 all in one shot. It's just, more efficient for me to do it that way in a larger batch. But anyways, let's get ahead and start heating this up and bending over that flange and show you how I do that. Okay, so as you heat up the plastic, this particular plastic, it wants to keep its memory after you form it. So as you can see, I formed the flange and I formed the curvature of the chute deflector. Okay, this is critical for it to fit right and to look right on your machine. It's not just a flat piece of plastic that, you drill a bunch of holes and slap on there. I mean, it can be, but it's just not going to fit right. This is what it pretty much looks like after the contouring process. You get that nice curvature, so it fits right inside your chute properly. So when you bend it like this, you mount right up to the sides of the chute, okay? So I've perfected this, like the dimensions of this from a template, you know, trial and error, okay? I went back and forth, I redesigned it, and I got the exact kind of width I need and the opening I need and everything, okay? The reason why this has tabs is because it mounts at the bottom of the chute. There's two bigger bolts, but you could not even have to use this if you really wanted to. You could just pretty much have it like this and just have a few more bolts holding it in at the bottom here, okay? Or you could not have it just on the upper part of the chute and not have it touch the base. That's also an option. But the way I have it on the HSS, it completely gets captured by the bottom bolts that are on the collar of the chute where it mounts at the base. That way it's a very streamlined, sleek, you know, OEM fit, and it captures everything. So pretty much it captures all the blow-by. It gets all, you know, all that discharge gets captured in here and doesn't get shot everywhere else, okay? It hit you in the face and build up on your machine. But let me go ahead and finish off a couple more of these. But I will finish off the video, show you the bolts and everything, all the hardware installed and what it looks like. Okay, here we have the finished product. This is how I ship it to the customer. I install the stainless steel fasteners. I also include a black nylon washer on either side of the fastener to protect your paint on the chute itself when you drill through your chute. You're gonna have to drill 1/4-inch holes, like I said. Use this as your template to make the holes on your chute. Either tape it or clamp it in place onto your chute from the inside. Once you clamp it down, then you can see where you need to put the holes, and then kind of make a dimple, okay, where you need to start the hole, and then use a spot drill, and then a drill, or a smaller drill, and then the larger drill, which is a 1/4-inch, like I said, to make your holes in your chute on the machine, okay? And like I said, use this as your template. It's very easy to do. That's how I did mine originally. But over the years, I have perfected this design. As you can see, I have it down to a science or an art. This thing is an exact molded piece that fits right in there. The bottom holes use the existing hardware from the chute base, okay, where it mounts. So you would remove those screws and then sandwich this in between the sheet metal, okay, and the collar. That's why there's no hardware on the bottom ones. But these 8, 4 on either side, that's on the user to install in their machine. So that's what it looks like, a fully molded chute deflector, my own custom-made contraption, invention here, whatever you want to call it. But it works great. I've improved the design, like the opening here. It still provides plenty of capturing ability of the discharge, but you can still get in there if you have to, and allows the slush to pour out. That way it doesn't clog the machine up, okay? So, there is the finished product, guys. If you have any questions or comments, place them right down below. And I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.